And today, ladies and gentlemen, is the day that we have all been waiting for. It is Selection Sunday on a Friday. So, round of applause. All right, today is the day. So, welcome to the 5th annual Owl Storm Game Selection Show. We will be announcing the 32 contestants that have been selected for this year's version of the games. Right here present with me today, we have Trey Marioka, who I would say is the chair of the Owl Storm Games Committee. Co-chair, along with my next guest, Zach Hauser. Some call him Zach Hauser. And we have the reigning champion over here, Mr. Gunnar Gaden. So before we get to the announcement of the contestants, let's hear from the reigning champion, Gunnar. And Gunnar, if you can describe in one word that starts with a vowel, what was your reaction after last year's win?
It starts with a vowel.
Vowel.
You know vowel, right? Yes. I don't know, he's a Wisconsin fan.
I know.
Hey now. Vowel. Energy.
Energy. So before we reveal who's playing, would you just be kind enough to give the contestants and fans just like words of wisdom or words of advice about how you came up on top?
Well, Jordan, the Owl Storm Games is a legendary event that should be taken very seriously, and my best advice is to never give up. I know I'm throwing out cliches, but you know that's what you got to do to win. I was posted at 88-1 odds to win this game and these games, and I did it. So never give up.
Nice. That was awesome. Thank you. Trey and Zach, can you guys just go over how you guys chose people for these games and just like what that whole process was like?
Take the lead.
You want to co-share?
So we got a large amount of applications this year, the largest we've ever received. Around 50 applications. So as you know, we took your applications, we redacted your name, and we gave it to the committee to read on as much of a blind process as possible. We let the committee judge the applications according to ridiculousness, creativity, anything really that we thought was indicative of potential success in the games.
Yeah, hit it right on the head, Trey. Good job.
And I think we should extend an apology, or not an apology per se, but
Olive branch.
to those we do not accept or announce as a contestant. It was a very competitive field this year, and if it was any other year, you would have been in the games.
Especially the very first games, there were only 2 people. So.
Exactly.
All right, Zach, I appreciate everything that you just said. And now, people, folks, boys, girls, and rabbits. Now I think it is the time that everyone has been waiting for. Here are the contestants and their pods. So in the 5th Owl Storm Games this year, we have broken up the 32 contestants into 8 pods, as my weatherman here will show you. In the first pod, the top left, we have the Wrangle pod. And so that will be a 4-person event, which will be whittled down to 1 person. And they will take on the winner of the Bull Rush pod. And then we slide down to the Slot Machine pod, which will take on the winner of the Creed pod. And might I ask, I do not know where these names came from, but Owl Storm himself. Okay. And then in the top right, we have the Slippery pod, which will take on the winner of the French Kiss pod. My favorite pod. And then we have the Juice pod, and that will take on the winner of the Power Horse #1 pod. And then after that, we will go into the quarterfinals, which are head-to-head matchups, which will be withered down to the semifinals, which will be withered down to the finals, which we will see who will stand by Gunnar Gaden and other greats like him as the 5th annual Owl Storm Games champion. So without further ado, I will be naming off the contestants and their pods. And up first, we have the Wrangle pod with 4 contestants that are headlined by 2 returning sophomores, the first being India Medeiros, better known as Sean's girlfriend and redheaded hippie. And then we have Clara Bauman, who we know as Clara Bauman. And then, after that, we have Brett Olson, who is a first-time competitor, also a sophomore, from the beautiful town of New Spicer. Probably wrong, but who cares? And then we have Danny Halloran, who is a first-time competitor, a lovable senior, holding a Northwater fish bass. And I wouldn't know that, but I'm black, so who really cares, all right? So out of this group, we have 2 returners and 2 first-timers, so it'll be an interesting group to see who comes out on top. And in the second pod, who the winner of this pod will take on the winner of the Wrangle pod, if you guys didn't follow the first introductions. But we have 2 first-timers, first starting with Holly Ellingson, who had one of the best poop stories I've ever heard. So boys, if you want to try and out-poop her in a porta potty, don't do it. Up next, we have Tommy Jackson. Tommy Jackson has a fantastic smile there. I'm guessing that was probably in 6th grade and kind of looks the same now. So, up next, we have Ava Harmon, who has one of the sassiest walks I have ever seen. So she'll probably bring that sass into this year's games. And she's also a returner from last year. Up next, we have Zachy Ginger Jesus Gullerud, as Trey beautifully has named him. And look at that beautiful thing standing next to that beautiful thing. Just doesn't get much better. So that is it. That is the Bull Rush pod for us there. And the third pod for the 5th annual Owlstorm Games is known as the Slippery Pod. Up first, we have a first year named Caleb Dryker Oren, or I'm going to call him Caleb Drinking Water. Look at that, he's by water, so I was kind of right, you know. Beautiful smile there. Up next, we have another first year, Daniel Neff, who's about the most ginger thing I have ever seen, and he is not built tough. Up next, we have Theon Masters. He is a sophomore. Look at that Beamer right there. It's not even a Beamer, guys. It's a Benz. I have heard stories about him in the weight room, and he says, "Call me daddy" to everybody. So I expect that during the games on April 30th. And last, we have senior Griffin Gallagher, who Griffin last year, if people remember, was notorious for breaking the rules. And I actually brought in an umbrella and was sweeping legs, I think. Maybe. But we will see if he will be a rule follower in these games and actually advance in the next round. And the next pod we have is the French Kiss pod, which is going to be headlined by Chance Carnahan, who is a first-time competitor here. That beautiful photo looked exactly like him today, so we expect that beautiful smile to be with us at the games. Next, we have junior Lucas Hirschbach, who is going to bring the kites flying high at the game. I believe so. Up next, we have first year Jed Buckholtz, who has a promising picture right there. Hope he brings that kind of energy to the games this year. And last but not least, we have junior EC3, otherwise known as Eric Connor III, otherwise known as the son of Eric Connor II, otherwise known as the grandson of Eric Connor I, otherwise known as Bubba and Hashtag. And in the 5th pod, we have the Slot Machine pod, which is headlined by a first-time competitor, sophomore Luke LeBlanc, who's one of my personal favorites because he just brings joy and energy to every class that I have with him, and he's a cheater. So, next we have Paul Reichsman, first-year swimmer, and there will actually be some swimming events, kind of, not really, in the Owlstorm Games, so we'll see if he can bring whatever he has to the table to see if he can advance. Next we have first year Ben Lewis. Ben Lewis, I personally saw him try and dance, so hopefully there's no dancing competitions in the Owlstorm Games, because if there is, he won't make it. And last but not least, we have last year's runner-up, Austin Dishinger, otherwise known as Nemo. And if you know him, he brings fire, flair, and you cannot wait to see what he'll do. And in the 6th pod, we have the Creed pod, which is by far the most interesting pod in the field. Just, if anybody knows this background story, which I'll probably tell you guys, it's amazing. Up first, we have junior/senior Griffin Glack, who is one of my roommates, one of my best friends, and looks like Ham from The Sandlot. But he's lost weight, though, but he's still fat. Up next, we have the love of his life, Brooke Hunter, who is my roommate also. And if you hear those two ever argue or talk, you just know that Brooke is going to marry one big Jew. Next thing we have Ray Holy, She is a junior competitor. Had one of the best videos I've ever seen. I mean, fantastic race. So hopefully she brings that same kind of creativity to the games this year. And last but not least, we have first year Michael Gutierrez. All the girls love him. All the girls think that he's too cute, too young, but I don't. And then if you know anything about him and Griffin Glatt and Brooke Hunter, there is a weird love triangle there, and it's going to be awkward, amazing, interesting, and just amazing. And Al Stormy to see what happens during the first round in the Creed pod. In the 7th pod, we have the Juice pod. In this pod, it's headlined by a first year, Phoebe Aguiar, who hails from, I don't really know where, so moving on. We have next junior Big Dan Klanowski, who was one of the nicest people ever, persons
That's
ever.
Large Dan.
Large Dan, as he likes to be known as. Next we have Robert Tomachek, and I just want everybody to notice this picture and just keep it in the back of their mind, because I'm going to say something later that is going to wow some people, okay? But Robert Tomachek, who is also a piece in a board game called Settlers. So, and last we have Akila Copeland, who is a senior, and this is her first time playing. And I bring up that that point for Rob's picture because we notice how he's holding two girls, because he is a lovable man, a ladies' man. So look for Big Dan to use this to his advantage, to sweep Robert under the legs with the chicks and come out on top. Big Dan is actually my sleeper pick, and I need him because I have a lot of money riding on that big, large man, all right? And last but not least, we have the Power Horse #1 pod, which is headlined by Thomas Oriente. He has a 5-head, as we have all known and well. He has one of the best walks on campus, so if you guys ever see him, just stare at him, and he looks great. Up next, we have sophomore AJ Imhotep, or AJ Imhotep, as I like to call him. Looking great there. Is a big fan of Predestination, I've heard, so we'll see if he's predetermined to win. Up next we have Joe, is it too late to say I'm sorry, Trier, looking like a pop culture icon. Justin Bieber there, looking great. And last but not least we have sophomore Jacob Jones as well, looking studly. And I think he actually might be predetermined to get out of this round actually, so we'll see what happens. And there you have it. That is every pod, all 32 contestants, as you see right here. So I'm going to ask some questions to our wonderful guests and get their opinions on what they see is going to happen on April 30th. All right, so we're going to just take some time here just to talk about this bracket, which I want to say is going to be posted on Facebook so people can fill out their brackets. I already know who I got winning. But I just want to ask you first, Trey, what do you think about this year's field? And we're sponsored by Coke too, by the way.
I think we've got a really competitive field. There are a lot of pods that are very interesting to kind of figure out.
Which one is your favorite pod?
My favorite pod or most interesting?
Both.
I think my favorite pod is going to be that French Kiss pod. We've got 4 football players. You know, it's going to be.
Is Jed a lineman or?
Jed is a defensive back.
Oh, so we got 2 D-backs and 2
We got
linemen.
2 D-backs and 2 linemen, and you know, we all know how EC3 has performed in the past. He's been a real feisty competitor.
Yes, he has.
And we'll see how the new blood interacts with him. And I think my most interesting pod is going to be that Jukes pod. We've got two unknowns, and we've got two second-time competitors who really didn't get a chance to prove themselves last year.
So, can you just give me who you think will win out of that Jukes pod?
If I had to say right now, I would say probably Robbie T.
Robbie T?
I think Robbie T would come out of that.
I think that according to the ASGCI, they have him actually coming out at 75%. So
I can believe that.
yeah, so we'll see. So Zach,
Yes.
I just want to ask you, who do you see as your dark horse for this year's field?
My dark horse. I would have to say, now, don't get upset, anyone, but dark horse, Ben Lewis,
Why so?
because he's just got that weird demeanor. You know, he says he's always living the dream. Well, this is his dream. Is he really living it? Or is he just gonna fail? You biscuit?
I couldn't have said that any better. Literally, any better. Gunnar, if I were a betting man, which I'm not, who am I placing all of my chips down on? Not you, obviously.
To win the whole thing?
To win the whole... No.
Well, it could be to win a
yes,
pie.
obviously the whole thing.
The whole thing.
I'm a betting man.
All your chips.
All my chips.
All your money.
Everything.
I know my money, I'm going to put it with Robbie T.
Robbie T.
Yes, I think he's shown a lot of experience, two-time competitor. This is going to be his third year running. I think that experience is going to come out, get him through the first round, and I think his sly and clever demeanor is going to carry him through these games, and I think he can take that crown.
I like that. Do you want to add on?
I think we have to remember now, when we talk about favorites, Gunnar was nowhere near.
Gunnar was 88 to 1.
Nowhere
odds,
near a favorite. He wasn't even on the dark horse.
No.
Wasn't even on the pretender list.
He wasn't even on a horse. Like, it was just so bad.
So I think we should take these predictions with a grain of salt. But if it were my guess, I would probably have to say.
Well, I never did ask you who you wanted.
No, you did ask.
Okay.
I think we've seen past competitors, maybe crash and burn in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
But something tells me Austin Dischinger will not crash and burn this year.
Okay. So no sophomore slump.
I don't think so.
Zach Hauser? I don't want to ask you that though. I'm just kidding.
Well, Jordan, thank you
Well,
for this chance and another opportunity. Coca-Cola, Coke Zero, 0 calories, made for everyone. I actually think the winner will be coming out of the Wrangle Pod
Wrangle Pod.
in Clara. She's shown very tenacious attitude in her past Al Storm games, and
All one of them.
all one of them. But hey, she's putting time. She's gonna do it. I think she's gonna do it.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So guys, could you guys just give the viewers a preview, maybe, if not, that's fine, of what the rounds will be after the famed Hunger Games round?
We are not at liberty to discuss that without our attorneys present.
Well, that's all I have, guys. Are there any last words of advice? Can you explain just anything, or just give like a happy greeting, just anything that you want to get off your chest before we leave? Anything, not even about the Storm games, anything.
I think first I should extend congratulations to the 32 contestants we selected. Your journey has only begun. I know the games are about a month away, but it'll be upon us sooner than you think. And number 2, on Wisconsin to the Elite 8.
It's cold, man. Zach?
Well, Trey, if you didn't know, they actually lost.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's
So
just like bad acting, guys.
so yeah. Sad face. But as a great man once told me, patience. Patience is key. And also, cluttered minds make slow feet. Clear, happy thoughts will get you through these games and holding this trophy.
Storm on, ladies and gentlemen. Storm on.
Well said, Gunnar. I just wanted to thank all you guys for joining us for this Selection Sunday on a Friday. And we hope that you guys all tune in, because we will not be streaming this live. So you need to come to the Kagan Lawn April 30th, starting at 7, right guys? 6.
5:30.
5:30.
TBD.
TBD. So we will keep you posted. And the 32 contestants, congratulations. Get ready. Be aware. We will be doing Who the F Is You? So I will be interviewing you guys, and so you guys could just showcase yourself to the outside world. So thanks again. Good night. June!